Welcome to the world of simulation theory. In this video, we are going to be exploring the fascinating concept of reality and whether the reality we are living in is, in fact, a simulated reality that was created by someone else. We will do this by delving into the evidence supporting this theory as well as the arguments against it. The fine-tuning of the universe, the existence of mathematical patterns, and the paradoxes in quantum physics all suggest that there's more to our reality than meets the eye. On the other hand, the lack of empirical evidence and the philosophical implications challenge this theory. The implications of the simulation theory are mind-boggling, from questioning the nature of consciousness and free will to the impact on religion and scientific advancements. In conclusion, while the truth of the simulation theory remains uncertain, it's a thought-provoking topic that invites ongoing research and discussion, which is why I want to present to you one of the members of the Creators from Beyond, as he is going to be sharing his view about this hypothesis and his involvement in it. So let's listen in and see what he has to say, so that you yourself could decide whether we are living in a simulation or not.
For those of you who are watching, I would like to welcome you back to our channel. I myself am a member of one of the science teams who helped to make the universe possible. And now, I am going to be the new host of this program. And you may refer to me as Creator, too. In this segment, I'm going to be exposing the true nature of the universe, which according to science, discloses. The universe actually is a simulation. But before I commence, I want to warn the sensitive viewers who may be watching, that this video is not really meant for the weak at heart. As here I am going to be talking about things that may bother those who may feel unease about the true nature of reality. And I do mean the one you humans are used to experiencing every day. So once again, I am advising anyone who is not into science to avoid this video, as I am going to be providing you with deep, valuable insight into the simulation theory, as well as pointing out things that may scare you about the simulation, which I'm sure for someone who's not too much into science, is going to find this subject too much to bear. Especially for those who are uncomfortable with reality. Now, as far as those who are fond of science, I urge them to continue watching this video, as this topic caters to their profound comprehension of science. As science enthusiasts eagerly embrace everything that has to do with discovery, regardless of whether it makes them uncomfortable or not. Now with that said, let us begin. I will begin talking about the simulation theory by pointing out a human individual whose understanding of the simulation theory is as close as any human has come to understanding it. This human individual name is Nick Bostrom. He's a human philosopher, who back in 2003 started sharing his simulation theory with the public, which in his view, the theory explored the probability that humans were living inside an artificial simulation, as he believes that future human societies will one day go on to create a similar type of simulation as future humans will become exceptionally advanced. therefore possessing the power to build powerful computers that will permit them someday to develop complex artificial worlds that behave just like the one you humans are existing in. And as far as I am concerned, Nick Bostrom is not wrong. As humans are seeing this for themselves. As they are living in a time where they are capable of creating amazing things, using the power of artificial intelligence. A system which you humans refer to as OpenAI, which is the building block of artificial intelligence, which according to our prediction, is going to help humanity achieve greater things, therefore, allowing them to inherit the power to even create their own interpretation of life. However, as this power continues to grow, so will human anxieties. As humans are concerned that these technologies are advancing too fast, making them scared of what may happen, as technology continues to improve even more. This for me is just another opportunity to point out that artificial intelligence and other technologies are just another piece of evidence that you humans are in a simulation. And seeing as Nick Bostrom is very knowledgeable when it comes to simulation theory, I want to dedicate this video to him.
All kinds of science fiction stuff that's nevertheless consistent with the laws of physics. All of this a superintelligence could develop, and possibly quite rapidly. Now, a superintelligence with such technological maturity would be extremely powerful. And at least in some scenarios, it would be able to get what it wants.
What you saw just now is what we call a simulation monitoring system. This great piece of technology was designed to help us supervise everything that happens in the simulated universe. Sort of like the way humans would monitor their reality shows from a distance. This particular system works in conjunction with a giant processor which runs the simulation itself. I happen to own my own private monitoring system, from where I'm able to conduct private experiments without no outside interruptions. Come to think of it, humans also use a similar type of system when it comes to monitoring their nuclear power plants. The only difference between ours and theirs? We use ours to observe the simulation's activities from within. In addition to just monitoring the universe, we also even get to explore inside the universe simulation as well. And we do this by connecting our entire consciousness to a human avatar, or any other avatar that we would produce. Whether it's an animal, or an insect, or a sea creature. Either way, we are able to use them to explore the world. And now, let us begin the journey that's going to prove to you humans that all of you are existing inside a simulation. Or better yet, that all of you are existing inside our simulation. And I think I'll start with number 1. Number 1 is life itself. As life did not just invent itself. If anything, life was a byproduct that was invented by another living thing, which in this case, that would be us. By inventing life, we were able to create our own living creations that were capable of experiencing reality, meaning any rules or laws that we created for the simulation were natural events that every living organism was compelled to experience while in the simulation. Hopefully that didn't surprise you. But now at least you know what reality is really all about. So now that I've cleared that, I thought, for the sake of simplicity, that I should start referring to all of the animated byproducts we produced for the simulation as organisms. And I know right about now, you're thinking, why is it we decided to create living organisms for the simulation? Well, the reason behind creating organisms began as a biological engineering endeavor to create life. Therefore, every living organism that exists throughout the universe are actually just plain creations that we created for the sake of understanding life and how to create it. According to science, organisms are living things that are made up of cells, and these cells were configured to form oligonucleotides, which are short single strands of synthetic DNA or RNA that serve as the starting point for a good deal of molecular biology and synthetic biology applications. Which, when complete, is followed by the assembly of the double-stranded DNA particles. DNA is a short nickname for deoxyribonucleic acid, which is the genetic information or codes which make up the building blocks of a living organism. These codes were designed to carry the instructions that tell every other cell in an organism what to do, as each cell in an organism is programmed to follow specific instructions. If you wish, you can call these instructions that cells share with each other the architectural blueprint, who get to notify the rest of the cells what the living organisms is going to be looking like. Come to think of it, these codes are kinda similar to the instructions that game developers employs when creating a video game. While we're still talking about living organisms, I'd like to take a moment to disclose the one thing that's helping to keep you living things alive. And, you guessed it, the internal organ system. Before living organisms could be acknowledged as a living thing, they needed to have some kind of system to help give them life. And the internal organ system, as I'm sure you're aware, was designed to do just that. The organs inside of you work together with other organs' components that were designed to carry out specific tasks, all working simultaneously to produce the right energy to help keep every organism alive. You can look at it as the engine that helps to give you life. Even if humans are aware of this, they still would neglect this reality. And why would they do that? Well, let's just say that most humans do not view themselves as living organisms, which answers why so many of them perish by the millions every day. But what I really wanted to articulate with this is, if you are breathing, you need to eat, drink, sleep, and are depending on an internal organ system to help you do all those things. Then it just means that you, like everybody else, are also a living creation that happens to be existing inside a simulation. And now, we go to number 2, which is the other component that works together with the internal organ system you humans refer to as the brain. But before I go on to discuss the brain, I should point out that from the very beginning of the process of developing the brain, our objective was to try to give our animated living beings the ability to think, touch, and observe. In addition to that, the brain's other responsibility was to remind the body to breathe, eat, and drink. So, there you have it. Now you know why organisms have a consciousness. Now, regarding to the human brain, there is a reason why the human brain is different from all the other brains that exist on planet Earth. The ones we provided humans with was unique for the pure fact that it was designed to mimic our own brain. Therefore, this gave humans the advantage in terms of intellect over other species. So it should now be clear to you why your species is the only self-aware species capable of achieving things that no other animal can. Like, for example, humans being able to come up with all the technological advances that you've been able to accomplish so far, and of course, then being able to travel into space. But there's also something else I want to tell you about the brain that's going to prove to you that you are in a simulation. And that is the thing humans know as short-term memory. Short-term memory is another matter which involves humans frequently forgetting things. As far as why this occurs, has to do with us designing the brain to have limitations. Meaning, the human brain was conceived to have a memory capacity that wasn't allowed to surpass our own brain. As doing so would have resulted in the development of a species that could learn too quickly, therefore defeating the purpose of using them in an experiment that was supposed to provide us with proof that a living thing that was half animal and half like its creator was capable of evolving into something more complex. So, short-term memory should be another clue that you are in a simulation. And now we go to number 3. The one I'm about to mention deals with life expectancy, which is one of the most significant pieces of evidence that's going to prove that you all are inside a simulation. You all know it as lifespan. Everyone hates this one because it has to do with how long an organism gets to live on planet Earth. Let me show you a quick example of what lifespan is. Lifespan begins as you are born and continues on until you become an adult. If you watch closely, you can notice how this human female is transforming into an adult version of a human, which of course starts from childhood. Here you are able to see how she is developing into an adult human, which continues until this human female cannot age anymore. The human species was designed to live up to 125 years, which means, this is the longest period a human being would be allowed to exist. Of course, living that long would depend on how well that human takes care of themselves. I know this information may come as a shock to humans, as humans are the only living creatures who are aware of what's going on, unlike the rest of the living creatures who haven't a clue. But I'm guessing, this is not what you really wanted to know. What you really wanted to know is the reason why we design living organisms to live for a short period of time. I guess the best way to exemplify this would be by explaining the reasons why we decided to do it. I'll start by pointing out our main motive as far as why we created the universe. It was created so we would be able to turn it into a laboratory, from where we would be able to use it for experimentation and observation purposes. Experimenting is how we were able to gain a more accurate understanding of our creations. And if you are a fan of science, you would know that experiments are often designed to be temporary for several practical and conceptual reasons. For one, creating living organisms that can live forever was a bad idea, as they wouldn't have made for a good experiment, especially if it was able to outlive the simulation itself. But not only that, creating immortal organisms would have meant we wouldn't have been able to gain actual experiment results. But you see, by making temporary living creatures, we researchers were able to concentrate specifically on what we were trying to study. Now, as far as the experiment involving human subjects, this experiment focused on whether this creature was capable of evolving into something like us. Which for that to work, we had to ensure that this species wouldn't be able to live for more than 125 years, as humans by nature are traditionalists. Meaning, progression for some of them wasn't something important. Which was not good, as the experiment meant for them to evolve constantly. For the most part, humans would often get attached to one type of lifestyle. Meaning they would often be stuck to one way of doing things. And for us, this was unacceptable, because, as I said before, Humanity by design was expected to advance as a highly intelligent species, who was expected to improve over the course of its history. And we don't believe by extending their lifespan, this would have made a difference. Let's just say, for the time being, we are satisfied as based on their history, it's evident that they have been evolving, as we had predicted. And we hope they are going to keep doing it, as the evolution experiment is far from over. Because you are now aware of why we have given living organisms a lifespan. Let's talk about the next big thing that's going to prove you're in a simulation. This one will be number 4. This one will focus on the system that was designed to help keep living things from ever going extinct in the simulation, which is better known to you as the reproduction system. We designed every living organism to have this system, just to ensure that we didn't have to always generate new copies of these creatures every time one of them had perished. Now, as far as how the reproductive system works. There are 2 main forms, sexual and asexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, an organism combines the genetic information from each of its parents and is genetically unique. In asexual reproduction, one parent copies itself to form a genetically identical offspring. But the well-known throughout the planet is the one that propels organisms to get involved in sexual activities. That's how humans reproduce. Which is basically the same process as how mammals reproduce. This will help you understand, why is it we created females and males in every species. So as you can see, it is through this process that we were able to keep life regenerating in the simulation. Yet proving once and for all, that every living thing that's existing in the universe is actually existing inside a universal simulation. So, I guess that about covers it. I hope this piece of revelation was not too much for you. And if anything, I hope you were able to learn something from it. But before I leave, I want to give you one last hint that's going to convince you that you are in a simulation. And that will be the news. The next time you are watching the news, and they are reporting something abnormal that doesn't make sense to you, well, that's going to be because the weird things that will happen on this planet is already a reminder that you are indeed inside a simulation. In conclusion, if you enjoyed this video and wish to see more, then press the like button and subscribe to our channel, as that will help the system to notify you when new videos are uploaded. So then, it's time to say goodbye, and I hope you tune in next time to see what else we have in store for you. But before I leave, I want to remind all of you of one last thing. Never forget, you are not alone.